Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, August 29th, as we finish off the month of August and head into the month of September to remember, will this be the month that disclosure actually happens, that we're actually going to get a hearing and things are going to move forward? Well, don't hold your breath yet, my friend, because you know what's happened the last couple of years. Time will tell. On that note, let me go ahead and welcome in everybody in our audience. We've got a stellar audience out there today. If I can just find them, where did they go? Let's go ahead and bring up a list of our No, don't want to do that. Damn it. One more time, let me go ahead and bring up a list of our participants and welcome you in. I see GMC here along with Andy W. April is around along with Brendan England. We got Brian Pemble, Brains, Kathy Spire, Conniving Bones. Craig Smith is here along with CW Bet B. We got Dan Larev, Daryl's on YouTube, Delta Echo. Dennis Benke's here. We also have Dragon Rider, Lisa Teal, DJ's here, along with Eric Roth and the Gurus, Fernando Suavo, good to see you, my friend. Firefly is here, along with Gene Sticko. We've got Geraldine Durazio, Idaho Strong. Jay Boone is in the chat. The chat is where it's at, my friends. Join the chat. Please do it. Join the conversation. We also have Jan's here, along with J-Cat Meow. We got Joey Spades, Justin's here, Kathy. We got... Madeline, Maritime Unprepared, Kelly Broughton, those piercing blue eyes. I saw you earlier, Kelly. We got Marcus and the Mandels, Mitch Elbs, someone I can't pronounce that one. Megan Betts is here, Mr. Grimlock, Mr. Catfish 2100. We got Ms. Cuss Out, Nathan Forrest, Player One, Roland Z, Rough Freddy, Sam's in the chat, Shelly Montgomery, Stargazer, Steve Himes, the Chromosome Cowboy, the Demond, the Verndu, Tom Clark, Truck and Paw, Two Midgets on a Horse, You Killed Kenny, and of course, We Beasties. How about that? I couldn't make it to the end because I talked too much. Well, of course I do. You know, that happens sometimes. We try to have fun. You know what we try to do, friends? We try to cover the news that's going on, whether it's good or bad, no matter what people are saying, because you know what? We don't like censoring content to keep the truth coming out. If people are saying, hey, this is what's going inside the UAP Disclosure Fund, we're going to bring it out. If we're hearing something about walking around the halls of Congress with regards to Carl Nell or others, we're going to bring out the truth. And we're probably the only ones out there who are doing it because we've got the balls. We're going to go ahead and do it because each and every one of you in the audience doesn't deserve to have your eyes covered up, to have your ears covered, and to keep your mouth shut so you can't go ahead and talk about what's going on. On that note, Mike, Disclosure, how the hell are you, my friend? Here you're dealing with a Fuck You Friday again. Your iPhone blew up one more time, and you have 20 hours from Apple on your PC to restore.
I do, and iTunes really sucks. So, yeah, it seems to be, I'm going through it again because of these Apple products, but, you know, it is what it is. So hopefully I'll be back up and running with my phone by tomorrow. Meanwhile, we have one hell of a show tonight. Yeah. And we're going to be having interesting things to talk about, you and I.
You know, the top story today is to go ahead and talk about the UAP Disclosure Act being introduced for the first time, actually, in the halls of Congress by Representative Burlison. While there's a whole bunch of stuff that's missing, you know, let's watch some videos first, have some fun, and get caught up on the news of disclosure before we start. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let's jump into the video studio. Where are we at, Mike? Here we go. So Jeremy Corbell blasts AARO for attacking UFO whistleblowers and lying to the public. Let's go ahead. I believe this is coming to us from Vice News. Let's go ahead and play this little clip here. It is an eye-opener, and I just have to say, thank God we have people like Jeremy Corbell who are out there to try and bring the truth, and they're not being persuaded by the deep state. Here we go.
Why was AARO really put together? You know, to shape the emerging UAP narrative. Those exact words. If I've ever seen those in a document, it would be to shape the emerging UAP narrative. Why you gotta shape something if it's made up?
Well, also, yeah, because it's growing in popularity, and so therefore
something's happening. It's coming out to some degree. People got cell phones, people talking, people are coming forward, whistleblowers. So, yeah, man. So, Dr. Kirkpatrick, they watch all this stuff, by the way. I love it. I always get intel when people are watching stuff. AARO, when you watch this, why are you having your former director do a PR campaign on select podcasts where you try to say you can't trust whistleblowers when you are a known liar who goes against whistleblowers when you asked whistleblowers to come to you? Why do I send you whistleblowers? As a test, and then they
don't put out what they...
And then they come back to me and I put it up. Why? Why is that happening? Why did Tim Phillips, the interim director of AARO, who's no longer any director of AARO, also going on a media tour and telling absolute lies to the American public? Now, the new director of AARO, I hear, is a really good guy. But he did say to a friend of mine, fact, I can't even part my hair without getting authorization. So even if he's a good guy, how much is he able to tell the American public that he wants to? Now, they've admitted some good things because they have to, because we forced them, because they look like dopes when they don't. They look like dopes when people come back to me, say I testified to them and they lied. They look like dopes when they go to the Wall Street Journal and use Joel Sheckman as the guy that they're going to put out false information. And George and I tell Joel Sheckman, hey, that's factually incorrect. Here's the guy that was in the nuclear bunker. You got the story wrong. Just do a correction. And they don't. They double down and attack whistleblowers. So AARO, I got no love for them. Now, the employees of AARO, a lot of love for them. Right. Good folks in there. From the top down, they got a mandate. And I'm going to say it one last time because no one ever listens to me. And I've been saying this for years. This one thing.
We're listening.
To shape the emerging UAP narrative. That is a CIA mandate. Wow. About media and the UFOs. They have something, by the way, that they call perception management. It's a office, and they have a budget, and that's what they're trying to do.
Mike, perception management, my friend.
Why was AARO really put
Hold on a
together?
second, let me stop this. That sounds like a psyop, something that Susan Goff, your dear friend, is very familiar with. Especially if they can't decide on which side that they are going to go ahead and part their hair, Mike. You know it's coming from dear Susan.
Yeah, she wrote the book on it, Thomas. You're absolutely right about that. That's nothing new. She's been running their PSYOP campaigns over 16 years, and we talked about that earlier on the show. She's been in this through 4 administrations, and she really is actually, got to give the devil their due. She's doing a hell of a job on behalf of the government, to be honest with you. It's been working.
Well, Brennan England, I agree, too early for trauma, but yeah, if we need to hit the face home, that's the face you want to hit home, literally.
Yeah, no kidding.
God, I wonder if we could get a pinata that looked like that. No one would want to hit it. They'd run away.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get in trouble for that. Remember, folks, disclosure tonight, we are serious about not being serious. We will talk about serious topics. However, we will have a sense of humor as we're going through it. Gene Sticko, your hand is up, my friend. And thank you for that freaking stupendous $250 super chat. Holy cow. Thank you, sir.
You can. Thank you. Thank you. It's, what you do here is amazing. And I'm sorry to raise and interject so early, but again, coincidence, whatever. So I've never made it a secret. I'm not particularly a fan of Corbell. And this video highlights some of the reasons, like his wearing of the Paris Island, T-shirt. And I've often been critical that he's more of a avatar, a familiar, looks like every veteran-owned, small coffee shop.
Yeah.
And he's more part of the problem than he is the solution.
Yeah, I used to think that too, Gene. But one thing to look at it. If there was someone who's actually picking up the torch where Lou has stepped it down, Jeremy is trying to do it, and he's doing, at least in the last several months, he's been doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. So the one thing I find interesting, and because of, as I mentioned before, I ran some experiments and little tests online and things like that. I won't get into, but the main point was what he's talking about. I was being vocal about online several weeks ago, and actually even in the website posted the entire breakdown of this counterintelligence strategy and narrative and the players and all the rest of it. And it was shortly after that I got my home visit, my obligatory home visit, as it might seem. And so,
oh, you mean the two agents from the DOJ FBI who left their cards on your? Yeah, how nice.
That's right. We had a great chat, very professional. But the what he's again speaking about, and like I said, I know who follows me and how they follow and all the rest of it. It just reinforces what my criticism was, that he and others are part of this sort of narrative framework as well, not necessarily knowingly. There's a phrase in the intelligence world that's called a useful idiot.
Right.
And it doesn't speak to intelligence, but speaks to how the intelligence community uses people. So again, I find it all highly coincidental. The exact subject I was being very vocal about and being very public about, for as small of an audience that I have. Well, I have good followers, let's say.
Can we show their cards at least, Gene?
He suddenly has a narrative about it. I just find that all interesting, and I will.
Oh God, yeah, my friend. Do you mind if we show their cards? I have them right here. If you want, I can bring them up. I've got a picture you sent me. Yeah. There you go. Department of Justice Detective Scott McCollum and Detective Andrew P. Creed from the JTTF Task Force Boston Division, my friend. They like you. You're muted for some... Yeah, you muted yourself, Gene.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, like I said, we had a good chat. I mean, again, I come out of the world, so I'm not... I'm happy to talk with anybody about anything that I know. And, they brought up some other, background associations I'd had previously with the Bureau and some of as the segue, but definitely felt like a fishing expedition.
Yeah, they come under the pretense of one particular topic, but then they kind of just slide into the reason why they're there in the first place.
Yeah. I invited them all back. They said they had a specialist actually too that had an interest in the UAP subject, and I said, "Man, bring the boys over and sit out back and have some beers, and I'll show you everything."
Yeah, excellent, man. I appreciate your insights on that, and I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah, thanks. So again, sorry to interject so early, but it just
not a problem. It's a show. We have an open format of sometimes if we get yanked in one way or the other, let's do it. Come on, we're the only show out there that actually has open viewer call-in for talking about the subject, because it's not about me, it's about everyone's disclosure. All right, so let's get into our next story that we're getting to. All right, so in this next one, this one's coming up, Mike, from the UAP Reporting Center. CIA officer Jem Simivan once told Colonel John Alexander of a night he and his wife woke up outdoors with no memory of how they got there. Moments later, they were back inside face to face with little beings. Case in point, although Colonel John Alexander was retired in 2005, at that time, he was still tasked with the job to go ahead and tell the president about the little green men, potentially, if you want to call it that. And he was still, even though in 2005, many years retired, at that time, he was still getting called in to Washington, D.C. to give the talk, if you know what I mean. Right, Mike?
That's exactly right. Yeah, correct.
So if there was a, one of the godfathers of disclosure, Alexander is truly it. I mean, he was involved back in the day with Stanford Research Institute when they were perfecting remote viewing, and you hear him talk about the Colonel. That was John Alexander. He's done a lot of amazing things. So let's get into this. Let's play this clip. Here we go.
Van went on break, and he says, "Are you John Alexander?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Oh," he says, "Well, I heard about you," and then mentions he's very senior CIA. Go to lunch, and he tells us about the experience where he's living in Northern Virginia, and he wakes up, he and his wife are outside and have no idea how they got there. There had been little beings in the room with them, and how do we get outside? And then there's physical stuff that happened and all that. He's one that come and said, "Believe Grusch." The problem is the data never all fit. If Grusch is right, my take is this is absolutely illegal, what has been. You know Jim Simovan? We went on break. And
All right, we got that there. Holy cow, Mike! I didn't listen to this ahead of time. John's getting really old. I mean, really, really old. It doesn't sound good.
I wasn't going to say that publicly. I'm
going to say it because I've been listening to John since I was at his house several times back around 2005. And that's where I first heard about the Bigelow Ranch. That was before it was a Skinwalker Ranch, and the amazing tales of things that went on there and other things. He's an asset to disclosure of what's gone on. And he's another person who truly respects national security, and he's kind of skated around it here and there, but interesting words, but not for much longer.
No, he has been on top of this and dealing with it since 1985.
No, he was back in there in the 70s, I think, with SRI.
Yeah, could be. But we know about that meeting he had with top people in 1985.
Yeah, that was in 85, but before that, I mean, he's been friends with Bigelow forever. Bigelow, right. The guy who had Bigelow Aerospace that headed up OSAP, that built a facility, a multi-million-dollar facility underneath their aerospace factory to go ahead and contain biologics and pieces of craft from unknown origin.
Yeah, but the point is that the work he was doing on UAP 1985 from that secret meeting that you and I are both well aware of, that was 40 years ago. So just do the math.
I hear 85 and I think, well, the hell, I was a junior in high school. It's not that too long ago. It's like, come on, Thomas, you're 57. It was a long time ago. Thanks for, but if you can hear old, he's worth it. What he says, I believe 100% without a doubt. There's no reason for this guy to ever lie.
No, because of what he knows. His experience is above most people out there.
Above and beyond everything else. Okay, I lost my bookmark, so let me go ahead and get us back to this. Let me find the next clip we can bring up before we get... Oh, wait a minute. This is supposed to go in my bookmarks, not in here. Come on, X. What are you doing? Don't you love when X decides to screw with you?
It does it pretty regularly.
It's like it has its own artificial intelligence, and that's to keep you away from the information you want. And then you're going to have to scroll and see all this other shit that you don't want, even in the content that's there. So let me get past that. All right, John Alexander, our next video clip coming from Ross Coulthart over at News Nation. UAP hearings are a dog and pony show. Congress knows a lot. We're beginning to, we're being shown and told what's allowed to be told. But Mike, we heard that at the last hearing. We had Matthew Brown, yes. You got to make the association coming out and talking. He met with Nancy Mace. He met with Burlison. They thought they were going to bring him forward, but that was shut down by the deep state, right?
For months, Thomas. They were having private meetings for months in Congress, like 2-3 months before the actual hearing date. And at that time, if you remember, because we broke this story, they weren't even sure they were going to actually have the hearing. It was still up in the air.
Yeah.
But Nancy Mace and Corbell and Knapp were hiding Matthew Brown as a cameraman to sneak him into Congress to have private meetings with them, to have them come out and publicly testify at the upcoming hearing. And at the last minute, and I mean literally the last minute, she pulled the rug out from under them, prevented Matt Brown from speaking publicly, put the 4 witnesses that she ultimately had testify, gave them last-minute notice that they were going to be testifying, and she lied through her teeth. So someone who was supposed to be pro-disclosure, in reality, was part of the cover-up from within Congress.
Yeah. We could get to Nancy Mace later on, because apparently she's picked up with John Comer, or Mr. Comer, whoever it is, who's the head of the Oversight Committee, to go ahead and start investigating the Wikipedia.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. But they're not, the stories that I've seen, no one's talking about UFOs cover up. It's the other parts they're interested in. So we'll get to that shortly. I know that's a pain point for some of our friends out there. So anyway, let's get to Ross Coulthart here. I didn't play it yet, did I? No.
Nope, you did not.
Let's get to it. Sorry. It's one of those days.
Let's hear Roscoe, see what he has to say.
Here we go.
The simple fact is national security does have to be protected. And as much as a lot of us may not like it. If there is technology or systems or weapons systems in particular, or propulsion systems and energy systems that have been developed in the black from non-human technology, I guess it's kind of inevitable that some senators in particular will collude in endeavouring to protect that from public knowledge unless and until probably the President or the National Security Council that really control the narrative on all of this is going to say, you know what, guys, let's be honest with you. That's what's going on here. To some degree,
That's right.
The public hearings are a dog and pony show. You know, we're being shown and told what we're allowed to be told.
Right.
There's a hell of a lot more that's known about inside the private skiffs, the secure skiffs inside the Congress where briefings have been given. Congressmen and senators, congressional representatives and senators know a hell of a lot more privately than they do or can talk about publicly. And this is one of the dilemmas right now. And I sense a growing impatience from UAP social media that it's just not fair. And it's not fair. Absolutely, it's not fair. But the simple fact is, if the US does have classified, waived, unacknowledged special access programs operating under compartmentalized.
But Mike, it's not just special access, unwaived, compartmentalized special programs. It's the ones that are the presidential unacknowledged special access programs, where all of this shit for the UFO topic is being hidden.
Well, specifically, Immaculate Constellation.
Yeah, that's part of it, but I think a lot of it is really in the DOE. Immaculate Constellation is an interesting topic where they're trying to collect everything, but the research where they're figuring it out, we always pointed at, it must be at Lockheed Martin or someone else. But the reality is anything with energy research is being researched in the same types of programs we had when we were trying to figure out the atom bomb and nuclear energy coming out of the DOE, 100%.
Yeah, but advanced UAP tech is, I think, far above atomic secrets.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right. So it's going to be, like you said, similar to the Manhattan Project, them running these programs. Has to be.
And it's been running since then. After they did the Manhattan Project, they transferred it over to deal with, the Roswell situation and beyond, because they figure out whoever can master this technology, forget about the atom bomb and everything we've done, whoever can master this non-human intelligence technology will truly rule the world, hence the national security state of America that they gave us in 1947.
Yes, sir. They created the U.S. Air Force in 47. They created the Central Intelligence Agency in 47 and the National Security Act. And then in 1954, we got the Atomic Energy Act. So that really locked it down for the last 80 years.
Yep. Absolutely. And everyone worries about, oh my God, if someone has technology that's from a UFO, they have the right potentially under the UAP Disclosure Act to come in and take it with eminent domain. Guess what? Since 1954, Mike, if there's any craft that's out there or a piece of a craft or whatever was in the craft, and that potential craft had a energy system that had any kind of decaying particle that they could consider equivalent to nuclear energy or something to that degree, they can come to your house and take it away in a blink, and you can't do anything to stop them. So it's been there forever. Everyone is like, oh my God, they're going to take it away, but they've had the ability.
Oh, they don't need to put eminent domain in the UAPDA. The government already has it, like you just said. They can use it whenever they feel they've
had it since 54. Yep.
Yeah. That's right.
If we can, before we continue this clip, Jay Anderson, your hand is up, my friend.
Yes, I was just going to say that tonight I actually had Tim Phillips, former deputy director of AARO, on my podcast, and what he was saying was that he had asked for clearance to all these programs, and he was never denied, is what he told me. He said every program that he went to and he investigated himself, he was never denied access. He was never told no. So I don't know if that's, him just saying, that never happened, that he was never told no. But he did say the only time that he was ever told no was about a legacy program that he was trying to put out, a document, and he got stonewalled along the way because apparently it was still classified today from 1950s.
Yeah. That sounds about right. What we're just talking about. Interesting to see that stuff is still out there. It's still classified, and even the people in AARO still can't get to it because,
he
like,
said that is one thing from the 40s that he couldn't get to, you know. And I'm thinking, wow, like the 40s, you should be able to get that by now.
Yeah.
What's the name of your program, Jay?
It's the Galactic Family Podcast. I had him on tonight. I had a bunch of NASA scientists on a bunch of weeks ago talking about the moon and Mars, but we focus on the UAP topic there on that show.
Cool. Well, we'll have to check it out. Stay in the back. It'd be great to talk after the show, my friend. Would love to collaborate with you.
Yeah, definitely. Tim Phillips was a great person to have on, man. He has a pristine background, man.
Mm-hmm. Except him going ahead and talking around Susan Goff without permission and getting a all expenses paid early retirement.
Yeah, we talked about that offline, but we'll talk about that off the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Wow, I appreciate that. Mike, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, very nice.
All right. That's why we have an open chat for people to call in, for viewer call in. It makes a difference, I tell you.
It does.
All right.
And especially where colleagues of ours can come join and be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's get back to Roscoe here and finish this off. And we got some other stuff. We've got this whole story about the UAPDA, but I figured, Mike, everyone likes watching videos and talking about it. So that's how we're starting off tonight's show before we get to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah,
here we go.
I agree wholeheartedly.
All right, let's get back to this. And here we go, folks.
Security clearances, and if these are in some way authorized by some kind of presidential executive order or presidential executive action directive or emergency action directive, a so-called PED, I guess there might be some perceived legal legitimacy for why this is all being kept secret. And I think we're just going to have to muddle on, and I don't think you're ever going to see the kind of disclosure that people are hoping for in the Congress. It's going to have to come from President Trump or whoever it is in the White House when the decision is made to be more candid with the public.
Okay. We've got Shelley Montgomery has some buffering going on tonight. Could be your device, could be your network provider. Sorry, but we do stream above, what you get at Netflix or Disney Plus or any of that kind of stuff because we love our image quality. And I'm sorry you might be having some issues tonight, Shelley. Hopefully, a lot of people are saying it's going all right. So let's get on to our next story here above this. All right. Let's get on to this next one. This is a science piece, Mike, but I found interesting. Deep beneath the mountains, let me get this over on another monitor so I can bring this up and talk through it as we go ahead and look at the image that's there. This is a real interesting piece of tech, and you have to say, what the hell is that? Where did that video go? Oh, yeah. No, it's here somewhere. God damn it. There we go.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, what the hell is even that? So deep beneath the mountains of southern China, a machine has awakened. The Juno Jianming underground neutrino observatory just went live on August 26, 2025, just 3 days ago. It's the world's biggest attempt to trap ghost particles, and here's what we need to know. Number one, at the heart of Juno is a transparent sphere 35 meters wide. It holds 20,000 tons of a liquid scintillator, so pure it can catch the faintest spark when a neutrino collides. 40,000 light sensors around it surround it in total darkness, waiting for a glimmer. The giant sphere sits inside a water pool 44 meters deep, buried 700 meters below the mountain in Guangdong. It has to be hidden to block cosmic noise because neutrinos are shy. Trillions pass through you every second. Almost none ever stop. The goal is to answer one of physics' greatest riddles, the neutrino mass ordering problem. We know neutrinos come in three flavors, electron, muon, and tau. We know that they oscillate, but we don't know which is the heaviest or the lightest. This hierarchy of matters because of the influence of how galaxies are formed, why the universe didn't vanish in matter, antimatter tie, and could point directly to new physics beyond the standard model. Juno, on this case, has a resolution coming from China to finally crack it. Now, Juno's placement isn't random. It's just 50 kilometers away from the Taishan, Yangjiang nuclear plants that churn out billions of antineutrinos every second. Those streams hit Juno. If one collides in the sphere, it flashes, and then that flash produces data. Already before it started, Juno caught its first events on August 24th, just 2 days earlier as they were running tests. Signals matched their predictions. Proof that the gamble paid off. Now, there's been years of excavation, calibration, purification, all leading to a faint glimmer of the dark. Now, Juno's ambition isn't small. If a star in our galaxy goes supernova, Juno will see the neutrino burst seconds before light arrives. It will spy on the heart of the sun and may even glimpse sterile neutrinos or proton decay, discoveries that would rewrite physics forever. Now, Juno only cost China $300 million and is run by 700 scientists, Mike, from 17 countries. The Institute of High Energy Physics in Beijing leads, but the world is watching. Now, Japan and America's Dune are still being built, but China got ahead of the start and they delivered. Think about this. A neutrino can travel through light years of lead without stopping. Yet inside a mountain in China, a giant glowing sphere just began to catch them. The hunt for gross particles has entered a new era. Mike, this is amazing science, and it's a shame it's not coming from the United States, but it's because we've been funding all of these wars over in the Middle East versus reinvesting in science and technology and our culture.
Yeah, well, obviously, it seems like China has the jump on us yet again. They are ahead by far compared to what the United States is doing.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is an amazing experiment they're doing for neutrinos.
Yeah. You know, they've talked about the neutrino observatory that they have down in Antarctica, and everyone's saying, oh my God, they're using it to create earthquakes. That's nothing but bullshit. This is true science. And apparently, like their current space station, China is starting to lead the way in advanced scientific experimentation. Good for them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Here they go again. Well, look, as long as they're going to make their information public, that's fine. That's okay. They can bring out whatever they want. Let them do it. We're not doing it, so.
Yeah, they have, you know, while we don't get along with their government in some respects, their scientists are clearly top notch.
Right. No. Unlike the U.S. that just has it so compartmentalized, one hand doesn't know what the other one is doing.
Yeah. Well, if we turn our sights now from China down to Medellin, Colombia, they have 2 UAP spheres that were seen. Let's go ahead and show the video in its entirety. It's 55 seconds long. Let's get to it. It's interesting, but after we get there, we'll tell you some thoughts on what is really going on, because there's a lot of talk about these spheres and what's going on and what people are seeing. Let's go ahead and play this clip, Mike, and have some fun. Here we go. So, got 2 objects off in the sky. We can see them off in the distance there, and they look like spheres. Orbs, as they're kind of floating around. But if you notice, as these things are moving, Mike, they never go beyond a specific distance, right? And they are going and traveling like they're, if you want to call it, floating in the wind. Now, a lot of people want to go out and say, yes, these are orbs, but really, Mike, what we're probably looking at is 2 tethered balloons. But you know how the things go on Twitter. Everyone says, oh my God, look, we've got videos of orbs. Check it out. When in reality, it's just balloons.
Right. Which is usually what that's always the case.
Yeah.
I know.
It's still
Good
something,
point.
you know, we see these videos. We may not agree with them. The audience may see it one way or the other, but yeah, balloons, my friend. All right. Oh, God, it reset me one more time. Oh, son of a bitch. This is my fuck you Friday today, Mike. Let's, you know,
My friend.
I am in a bookmark. I'm at a certain point, and then it takes it. And when I leave the bookmark, it throws me back to all the rest of the feed. Where the hell was I at? All right, there's that one there. We've got that one there. All right. I think we've gone far enough. We're about 40 minutes or so, give or take. We were a little bit late as usual, starting up today. But let's get into not that one. Where did it go? The top story for tonight. Yes, Mike, we have to talk about the UAP Disclosure Act of 2025 that was introduced today by Representative Eric Burlison. Let me put up the picture as I try to find the story that we're going to get into, because, Mike, this isn't the normal UAP Disclosure Act that we're talking about. No. This is something that's out there that is different from what was brought together by the Senate, more importantly, Chuck Schumer. So let's get into the story here that came to us from Dean Johnson, our dear friend Mike. You love Dean Johnson, don't you?
Yeah, about just as much as he loves me.
Yeah, exactly. So let me get this in a spot. Okay, I'll look off to the side. It's perfect because I'm looking at the thing. Let's get to it. So in the House of Representatives, Congressman Eric Burlison today filed a version of the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act at the House Rules Committee as a proposed amendment to the FY26 National Defense Authorization Act, also known as H.R. 3838. This means that both the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate have variant versions of the UAPDA that have been introduced and are eligible for approval by the respective houses come September. Now, the version filed by by Representative Burlison today, in most respects, is substantially the same as the language we've seen in 2023 and 2024, creating a temporal federal agency and board that would gather UAP-related records and materials for an orderly public disclosure upon the president's approval. Wink, wink, it's not going to happen. However, Burlison's amendment does not contain the opening 11 paragraphs of findings, declarations, and purposes that have been part of earlier versions and that remain a part of the UAPDA version that was brought forth by Senator Rounds, Senator Schumer, and Senator Gillibrand earlier in the month. Now, those paragraphs contain some of the language that has excited the most commentary in ufological circles since its initial unveiling in July of 2023. This includes 5 declarations beginning with the phrase, "legislation is necessary because," which would include references to, quote, to restoring, quote, proper oversight over unidentified anomalous phenomena records by elected officials and overriding rigid classification practices. Now, Representative Burlison's filing his amendment with the Rules Committee does not ensure that it will be voted on by the full House of Representatives. No, it won't, my friends. The House Rules Committee will decide in early September which amendments will be made in order, meaning eligible for consideration on the House floor. So far, 938 amendments to H.R. 3838 have been filed at the Rules Committee, with more expected. Mike, hear that. Almost 1,000 amendments have already been filed against the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2026. And only a fraction of these will be made in order for consideration when the full House takes up H.R. 3038, which is likely to be the week of September 8th, which is right before the UFO hearing, Mike.
Yeah, alleged UFO hearing.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Until it happens, yes. And here's the thing. It's August 29th. They've said the UFO hearing will be on September 9th, which means by September 2nd calendar day, if we do not see a UFO hearing on the calendar, it will not be happening on the 9th.
Right.
7 days before. Maybe it's the 3rd, but either way. Of those amendments that the Rules Committee does make in order, some will be accepted without a vote by the House Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers. If you remember Mike Rogers in the past has been a stalwart potentially about getting the UAPDA approved, right?
Right.
Right, exactly. So some of the more controversial in order amendments will be accepted or rejected on separate roll call votes. We would expect that if the UAPDA becomes part of the House National Defense Authorization Act, it would be because of the chairman accepts it, in which case it will be wrapped into a block of amendments that will be adopted by a voice vote. Now, in other words, what does this mean? We would be surprised to see the Burlison UAP amendment receive a separate roll call vote. No amendment explicitly referring to UAPs or UFOs has ever been the subject of a standalone roll call vote on the floor of either the House of Congress or the Senate. Also, contrary to some mythologies, the UAPDA language has never been the subject of a recorded vote in the Senate Armed Select Services Committee or in the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. And Mike, you have to wonder why.
Because if you don't have the votes behind it, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why they always incorporated it within the NDAA, because they knew they had to pass that bill. So they attached it to UAPDA. Not this time. As a standalone bill, it stands a very good chance of dying on the vine all by itself.
Now,
quickly.
talking about it dying on the vine on itself, if neither the House of Representatives nor the Senate includes the UAPDA in the National Defense Authorization that passes in September, the UAP is dead. If the UAPDA makes it into the NDA version passed by only one House, then it will be a matter of negotiation between House and Senate conferees, as it was in 2023 or 2024 when it failed at those times. Actually, it didn't even make it there in 2024 for 2025.
No,
it failed.
You're right. Yeah.
It never got out of the Senate.
No.
However, if both the Schumer rounds and Burlison amendments clear the respective houses, the likelihood of inclusion of the core provisions in the final enacted NDAA would increase very sharply, which is something I know our audience and we'd like to see, but still not be guaranteed. Civil book diagrams to the contrary notwithstanding, a conference committee can make changes, either large or small, including complete rewrites in some cases. Mike, this is just a complete mess of where we're looking at. We're going to have to take a look of where we're going to get, but we're literally days away from this either happening or dying on the vine.
Yeah, more than likely it's going to die on the vine, Thomas. We've been talking about this for the past 3 years now. It's the 3rd year running.
Yeah. Now, some people are wondering, what about eminent domain? We talked about this earlier on the show today, but eminent domain provisions are retained in both the pending UAPDA versions in the House and the Senate. The UAP definition of non-human intelligence covers, quote, any sentient, intelligent, non-human life form. It leaves it to others to argue whether it applies to non-human created AI or only the creators. It could be the later. We'll find out. And AI would fall within the proposed definition of technologies of unknown origin if it lacks prosaic attribution or known means of human manufacture. Now, Mike, that we bring up the whole story about potentially manufactured biologics. I think I've got a clip about Jeremy Corbell talking about this, if I can find it. Where the fuck did I put it? Come on, you're here somewhere. Come on, Jeremy. No, not down there. Let's see if I can find it. I want to get to this clip. I guess it's further down. All right, biologics instead of bodies. Talking about biologics on this one, Jeremy Corbell says David Grusch used the term biologics instead of beings or bodies for a reason. Let's dive into this clip coming from Jeremy Corbell from that interview again on Vice. Let's see what they have to say, folks. Here we go.
Somebody asked him, were there any beings on some of these craft? And he says, yeah, on some of the crafts we retrieved biologics.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
He didn't say beings, bodies. He said biologics. And there's a reason he said that.
Yeah, why?
Well, I think you should ask Dave. He's smarter than me. But I
He's
think,
not here.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we can call
Keep
him.
going. Biologics.
Biologics. I think because we make the assumption that's why we changed it to non-human intelligence. We make assumption extraterrestrial, alien. Well, maybe they're from here. They're ultra-terrestrials. Maybe some of these things are just like printed flesh with AI. We'd call that a biologic.
Oh, I see.
Because we do that.
Yeah.
We print organs. So I think he's leaving the terminology open for interpretation. But what he's saying is, yeah, they're aliens and craft.
Mike, what do you think? Does that sound like a good definition of what biologics are? Printed biological entities that are powered by AI?
No, I don't agree with that for the simple fact he's using the term biological or biologics. That's not something that's created or artificial, in my opinion.
Right.
So, yeah, I think he's a little off the mark with what he means in what he feels David Grusch was representing. Then again, you and I also talked about when David Grusch did the second DOPSA clearance for that meeting in Wall Street.
Yeah.
And he then gave a full definition of biologics. And he said that the U.S. government is in possession of biologic entities that are, in fact, the gray type that have been discussed by abductees giving eyewitness testimony. And he confirmed that, yes, those are, in fact, the biologic entities that the U.S. government is in possession of. So, no, I don't think David Grusch was talking about artificial intelligence. We already know what he was talking about because he said it. So, pretty simple, if you ask me.
Oh, God, yeah. It certainly is, my friend. It's one of those things you just have to look at and just keep on getting into details and just dig deeper. Now, catching up on one of the people that you've been covering for a while, and you had some breaking stories over on X. You know, we got Beatriz Villarreal, who's with Dennis Asberg, Mike, and you'll never guess who she's meeting up with. Jake Barber from Skywatcher.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I wonder how their psionic ability is going to help them find a proof from the 1950s. We'll find out.
I can give you a simple answer to that. It's probably not, because it's coming from Barber, who is coming directly from DC Muscle Wolf. So I don't trust anything that comes out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, DC Muscle Wolf, yes. Him, his producer, and his actually of his videos, Michael Mazzola, and good old, Third Phase of the Moon, have actually been accused today on X of funding a bunch of the trolls who have been attacking Elizondo and ourselves for the longest time.
Oh, so it shows then that this is premeditated attacks that seem to have a knowledge and forethought of what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting? That the drama continues, and if people don't have anything real to talk about or on their own content to cover, they just have to go after us.
Oh, I know, Mike. They have to say that we're at the top of the top. They say that we work for the federal government and we coordinate everything we do with Lou Elizondo.
Right. Meanwhile, you and I both know that Lou is dealing with his new bar and grill in Wyoming. Yeah.
Bombshells.
So that's what he's busy. Yeah, bombshells. That's right.
Oh, I got another.
American Cantina.
Oh, my God. Okay, so I've got a story here. Let's see if I can find it. So, someone was going ahead and complaining here, saying UFO Twitter and YouTube are crawling with grifters, Mike, who push obviously fake docs, stage photos, and bogus bombshells every single day. They aren't making mistakes. They are knowingly lying for clicks and cash, almost like it's Ripley's Believe It or Not, but they don't tell their audience that. They have no honor, and No shame. And I love this picture of what they put together of the troll getting the money out of it. And how did I have to respond to this? Shocking, crazy, jaw-dropping, shape-shifting aliens, giant UFO, bombshell news.
Nice.
And this is me talking here. As a content producer, it literally makes me sick that I'm a part of that to a degree. Disclosure has dropped to the crap from the Weekly World News in the grocery store checkout, where we used to get stories like gay aliens found in UFO wreck, or Bat Child escapes after Bat Boy found in cave. This is what Disclosure has been turning into for a lot of these different channels that are out there. They'll look for anything they can possibly do, bring out 2 or 3 videos a day to get people to watch this stuff. But it's like, what the hell's going on?
It's tabloid activism. It's like the National Enquirer at the checkout lane. You're right.
Yeah.
It's over the top. So people should recognize when they hear this kind of explosive claims that it's not really very true.
And these terms, shocking, crazy, jaw-dropping, shape-shifting alien, giant UFO, bombshell news, yes, this all came from other YouTube channels who are using titles like this, and I'm trying to stay away from it because you think, oh my God, everyone else is doing it, they're getting the views, but the truth of the matter is, it's just freaking bullshit. Have to say it.
And that's one of the reasons we don't do it.
Yeah.
Our headlines, our title cards don't use words like that. We basically cover whatever the top story is, and that's usually coming directly from the news cycle.
Yeah.
So we don't need to do that. It just cheapens everything, and I think the audience knows that.
And exactly, we heard coming back from the UAP reporting center saying absolutely every day is another misleading bombshell lie, LOL. And I said, except in when reporting on Lou Elizondo's new bar called Bombshells.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because he opened a new bar and grill called
Bombshell.
American Cantina.
You gotta cover it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just where Disclosure is going, and it's not a pretty point, but we're covering it, we're talking about it. And now I just got to go ahead and go through my list. Okay, getting back to Dr. Beatrice Villarreal. Actually, we had someone in the back with their hand up a second ago. Did they put the hand down? Yeah, they did. We'll get there in a bit. Okay. Jay Albertson, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I put out a video on my channel one time, and Skywatcher's been very pissed off because I only asked him one question, and I said, I only have one question for you. You say and you swear you're going to show us a UFO. My job in the Army was a weapons of mass destruction specialist. I know the law when it comes to retaining materials and stuff like that. So it's like, it's the eminent domain like you were talking about in the 1954. It even states in there, and I said it even happened to Bob Lazar, that they came to his house and said, hey, eminent domain, we're looking for nuclear material, you're out of here. We own your property until we find it.
Yeah.
And I asked him that, and as soon as I did that, my channel blew up with all these negative comments and everything saying, why are you being so negative towards Skywatcher? Well, because they haven't shown you anything yet.
Mike, what words do we use this? It's 3 words. Trust me, bro.
I hate that word. I hate those words.
Same here. We want to see truth. We want to see fact. We're tired of hearing the stories. We're in 2025. We should be beyond this kind of bullshit at this point. We don't need any more fuzzy videos or other stuff.
I say put up or shut up.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. It's great having you here. Thank you.
Yeah, we enjoy the conversation, Jay. And we feel the same way that you do. I'm sure if you followed the show, you know that already.
Yeah.
We're in agreement on these these issues.
All right, let's get to our next piece here, coming in from Jake Barber meets Beatrice and Dennis. UFO whistleblower Jake Barber will discuss what he witnessed at an aircraft retrieval site, a secret Barber has held for more than 10 years. But let's not talk about it. Let's listen to it, my friends. Here we go. On the bottom. All right, and watch again.
Allihopa, nu är jag tillbaka här med fantastiska människor runt omkring mig. Och vem har jag här? Jag har Beatrice.
Oh, wonderful.
Vem har jag här då?
It's not translated. So, UFO whistleblower Jake Barber discusses what he witnessed at an air crash retrieval site, a secret Barber has held for more than 10 years. Dr. Beatrice is a researcher in astronomy at the Nordic Institute for Theoretical Physics. Let's see if we can get to when Jake is actually talking. Here we go.
And who is Jake?
And I have no idea what they just said because I only speak English.
Exactly. I love it.
But I'm sure it was very flattering and a proper introduction. But yeah, I'm Jake Barber from the United States of America. Been involved with the Skywatcher Corporation, where we are exploring UAP in the United States and elsewhere. And I'm here in Sweden to meet with these other two explorers who have been looking at very interesting things that have inspired me as well. And so we wanted to get together in this beautiful place and have some coffee and tea and some desserts and talk about the journey we've all been on individually. And I think we have a lot in common that we can only offer each other that few can sympathize with. So we're having a lot of fun.
And lots of secrets we all.
And sharing secrets.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to let you talk on this one. I need actually.
What we learned about the universe today.
Yeah, I got it.
So we're going to do a podcast interview tomorrow, hopefully, if everything's turned well with the time and everything. So tomorrow we're going to record it, and perhaps next week or 2 weeks it's going to be out on Danny's World.
Nice.
Thanks for watching.
Mike, at least Beatrice isn't sick anymore. She looks pretty healthy. I'll let you go ahead and talk about this for a second. I'll be right back with you.
Yeah, certainly. No, she's feeling much better, and she had a birthday the other day, which was nice. She's been working on the research that has come out recently about the transient objects that are in geosynchronous orbit around the Earth, and she is currently awaiting peer review from the astronomical journal of her peers. And she is fighting an uphill battle with members of the scientific community because they don't agree with her research or her findings or these objects that have been here long before we were capable of space flight, long before we were capable of air flight. So her work is amazing, and she has very interesting scientific data that establishes this. And I'm going to have a private talk with her about her involvement with Jake Barber, because he was mentioned as coming forward initially through Dr. Stephen Greer, which is a concern.
How long until we can expect her peer review to be?
That could take several months. And she wasn't originally going to release her documents and research until after the peer review was completed. But I convinced her that the public has a right to know and needs to know the work that she's doing. It's credible, it's fascinating, and it's something that I didn't feel needs to continue to be hidden because of how long she's been working on this privately. And she did bring it out. So I'm glad that she did that. And she was able to let everybody know exactly what she's doing. And Thomas and I are working with her to move forward on her research and establish these objects here in 2025. Because the work she initially did goes back to the Palomar Observatory, the sky survey plates from 1948 to 1968. So she was able to find these objects in that sky survey from them.
Oh, yeah.
Because, the Harvard survey was all of the plates were destroyed on purpose by Dr. Menzel, who was a CIA asset, who decided to destroy all of Harvard's plates from almost 100 years ago, which is a crime in itself. But she found them in a similar observatory, did a similar survey, and discovered these transient objects that are not naturally occurring. They seem to be artificially made. according to her research, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I'm going to have a talk with her because Barber is not credible, in my opinion, because like Jay just pointed out earlier, they made these huge claims in the beginning when they first came out, but they have, as of yet to date, not been able to provide a shred of evidence of any of those claims. Not a damn thing. So this is going to drag on forever? I know, Thomas, you and I talked about this on the show a while ago. They were trying to get their own TV show, I believe.
Yeah, they were. They're doing the same thing that was done with Luella Elizondo and Jake Mann and who was it? Others in the past when they were trying to get funding for a TV show that they were going to base on Disclosure out of Wyoming. And that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of people who've tried to do the pitch, but they haven't made it yet.
No, because Skinwalker is something that people are familiar with already. And they also haven't really brought anything out. And I don't think a network is really interested in what Jake Barber is doing right now.
Yeah.
And also, he has a for-profit company that Skywatcher is a company that is there for profit. So I don't believe that they're going to want to do a TV show on that.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like the ability to get TV shows out these days on Disclosure, especially like the what's the movie that hasn't come out yet?
Age of Disclosure.
Age of Disclosure, absolutely, my friend. It's one of those things that hasn't happened because it was a fad for a while, but it's been kind of dying off in the general public for whichever reasons, and it's something that you wait too long, something doesn't happen.
No. It does not. Then the public loses interest, and they're not going to want to pay for something that they're not interested in. So it kind of dies on the vine.
Yeah, I hear you, my friend. Absolutely. Now, if we can shift gears a little bit, well, that comet that's out there, wherever the hell it is, Mike, is still stumping scientists. And they can't figure out what the fuck it is. It's something different, for that matter. It's 3I because it's the third interstellar object that's come into our solar system, but this one takes the cake. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. All right, so let's show this chart. I think I'll get into this one. Here we go. All right, so we now have a clear technosignature for nickel and cyanide in the gaseous coma that's really small around 3I Atlas, but not iron. These data seem to rule out any iron-nickel meteorite and suggest instead a very large, they're calling it an alien spaceship. Clearly, it's something they don't know what the fuck this thing is. Data for nickel are shown in slide 1 that we have up right now, while the data for cyanide are shown in a new paper from the Very Large Telescope that we have. Coming to us, of course, from Avi Loeb. Thus, we are led to consider the 3I Atlas may contain large iron or steel surfaces, just like that they could be for a giant spaceship. Those large surfaces seem to have been coated with nickel and cyanide to prevent their corrosion or rust in space. For those of you who don't know inorganic chemistry, here's how it works. During the process of electroplating, dissolved nickel ions are used and deposited as a layer of inert nickel onto another metal surface. This involves immersing the other metal surface into a nickel plating bath, which contains a solution of nickel ions plus cyanide. Cyanide ions are used in electroplating as complex agents for metal ions, including both nickel and iron. Cyanide can form complexes. Let's get it into here. With nickel, as shown in this slide we've got here, but also with other metal ions, such as iron on the other surface. They may help to give us a better adhesion of nickel and the other metal surfaces. So in other words, cyanide ions help nickel to coat another iron or steel surface to prevent corrosion. We're talking about here a large surface that potentially, Mike, could be a spaceship. Now, as CO2 dry ice coating comes off a 3I Atlas while it approaches the heat of the sun, some of those nickel ions held by weak organic cyanide bonds may also fall off. That's why we see more nickel and cyanide potentially in the gaseous coma of 3I Atlas as it approaches the extreme heat of our sun. Now, astronomers do not seem to understand inorganic chemistry because they were never taught it. So now we've had to explain it for them. So, Mike, this is just one of those things we have to look at. This is what a lot of our scientists or astronomers call a technosignature because it cannot easily be attributed for nature or a natural rock. All of the current data, therefore, seems to support a notion the 3I Atlas could perhaps be a huge alien spaceship heading our way.
It's speculation.
It's all speculation of stuff out there, but as we're getting along, it isn't getting a longer coma tail. What we're seeing from the gases and what's coming out on it doesn't align to any other craft that we've seen in the past.
Yeah. Speculation, hypothesis.
Yeah.
It's doesn't have a shred of evidence to back any of it up.
Of course not.
Gene had his hand up. I think Gene had his hand up.
Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, it fortunately ties in because I was going to comment on the last piece about Dr. Villarreal and the reaction of the science community, but it had to do with what Avi Loeb was saying during the recent chance I had to pose a question through a chat to him, which fortunately ties into this as well. So, I think what was amazing and again reflective here, when it came to Dr. Villarreal's work, he had never read it, didn't seem much interested in it. And here again, he's sort of taking these things, it seems, and shaping the narratives to what he wants it to be for his purpose, rather than directly following the science, which again lies in the face of science itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that, Gene.
But Mike, you remember Dr. John Brandenburg? He was on our channel in the past talking about potential nuclear explosions that happen on Mars.
Right.
He's got a comment on this I want to go ahead and bring up because I follow him and it was a really interesting piece. Let's go ahead and bring this one up here. All right. So the reports of high nickel in the gas plume of 3I Atlas without iron being present is very unnatural. Nickel and iron are almost identical chemistry and are produced in stars at nearly the same abundance. Only artificial refining can separate them, and this is what Dr. John Brandenburg has showed us with regards to the coincidence of them and saying this isn't a natural object.
I like John. We've had him on the show.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. But I'd have to say it's still speculation.
It's speculation, but at least he's bringing out and saying, hey, we usually don't see these things and these types of objects. This is unnatural. These things usually don't come together, but we're seeing it here. If anything, he's raising that flag to say there's something interesting going on here that we don't know yet what this thing truly is.
Right. But then again, you and I know why aliens would not be coming from outside of the solar system in to approach our Earth, because we know that they're already here. Yeah. They're not coming from elsewhere.
Well, some are already here. There could be something else giving reinforcements. You never know. You have to keep, you have to keep that level of uncertainty out of there, because the truth of the matter is we really don't fucking know, do we? Everyone's guessing. Everyone's trying to play the grand prize game and throw that ping pong ball into the end bucket so Bozo will give you the grand prize game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to hit. And everyone's going to keep on trying until eventually someone will potentially figure it out. In the meantime, we're going to cover the speculation and get the scientists who are all arguing with each other about what the heck is actually going on.
but they don't really know is the truth about that.
That's why people are looking at the results and they're saying, wait a minute, these two combinations of things, that's not normal. We never see that before. So if that's what it is, let's throw it up on the wall with all the other stuff, and eventually all the shit will fall down and we'll find out what the answer is. But in the meantime, we're, dealing with the speculation coming from some really well-known scientists who are trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, well, it's on the bingo card, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Absolutely. Now we've got someone going ahead and got a picture here of something that they're calling a Tic Tac or a UFO, Mike, but you're going to laugh at this one because I did. It's a plane. You can see the tail going up. You can probably see where the wings are, and they're trying to call this out as a UFO. No.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people are saying the audience, Mike, isn't easily bullshitted. Well, neither am I, because we've got that special clip, Mike, we always play.
Oh, a bullshit artist.
Which we're not.
Yeah, that comes in real handy.
Oh, that and then some. What else do we've got going on here? Another super chat that came in that I missed? No, we got that one from a bunch of super chats came in. I'm sorry if I didn't cover them. One from Wishmaster, The Prophecy. Thank you very much. 3 main religions under full occult control 100%. There you go. Got another one. He's saying NASA gets too many church Islam kickbacks. Oh, gosh. Let's leave that out of that. The next one, that same one again, and let's get to FazeWill. Thank you very much, FazeWill, for that wonderful super chat. Man, he moved the hell out of LA to get the hell out of there near Beverly Hills, but now he's got his Cybertruck. FazeWill, you need to put your granny in the rocking chair on top of that, in the back of the Cybertruck when you're coming back to Beverly Hills, my friend. Great to hear you going back, and thank you for that wonderful super chat. Hopefully you'll still be in California, Northern California. I've got to send you the ticket, Mike. Don't forget, we've got 2 tickets we need to give away in the next week to 2 people who are willing to go ahead and see, along with FazeWill in Northern California. I think it's somewhere near Sacramento, when Lou Elizondo is having his next appearance. It's the only appearance on his schedule at this point. So if there's someone out there interested, let us know in the chat. Reach out to us by email. Join the back. Talk to us. And we've got 2 more tickets we're going to give away, Mike.
Yep, that's right. So we want everyone to like and subscribe if they're enjoying the show. And they potentially could win free tickets for Lou Elizondo's appearance.
Well, I guess they could win, but I guess this is a giveaway kind of a thing. And reach out and you'll be surprised. But you got to go, and you got to take pictures and share it with us and come in the back and talk about it. It's not too hard, right, Mike? We'll send you as a media representative for Disclosure tonight. It'll be fun.
Exactly.
And I believe that's happening on September 15th, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyone's interested, come join us, and you might end up with a free ticket.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. All right, where the hell are we? What do I still have to cover here? Interesting Friday night. Great week. Today was just...
Yeah, it was.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, this is one story we haven't talked about. We've got a little bit of extra time here. Is it this one I'm going to do? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. I follow someone by the name of Jason Wild over on X. Great guy, great concepts, great little images that he'll use sometimes. We're actually going to go ahead and talk about it, but let me go ahead and bring this around, bring this image up, bring it up full screen, and let's get into it since we've got about 40, 50 minutes left. I have some fun with it, Mike. So,
yeah, let's do it.
The topic we're going to get into now, friends, we were just talking about this. We just said it a second ago. They're here, hidden outside of time.
Yes.
So what we're talking about, friends, is interdimensional aliens. And we've heard this from John Alexander 20 years ago, a bunch of different people saying what we're dealing with are entities that are shifting from one dimension to another. We heard David Grusch going and talking about it when he was talking to those investors in New York 2 years ago, January. And he came out and said they had a craft that was like 30 feet on the outside or 40 feet on the outside and the size of a football field on the inside. It was a different dimension of space. And also, when they were in it felt like 20 minutes, but when they came out, 4 hours had passed. So it's not only a different dimension of space, but it's a different dimension of time.
Correct.
So if interdimensional beings exist, and the first thing we must understand is this: time is not their prison, the way it is for ours. For us, life is a straight line of birth, growth, decay, and death. I think we're in decay now, Mike.
Yeah. Some days it feels like it, Thomas.
Yeah, we had Corporal Abe talking about earlier, saying, "Oh God, yeah, I'm 40. Imagine what's going to be like when I'm your guys' age." He was talking to myself and Andy, and I'm like 57. You know what it's going to be like? Take the pain and aches and pains you get today and multiply it by 10, if not more. Yeah, you have aches and pains when you're 40, but nothing compared to when they're this age, Mike.
But at least you have your hair. At least you have your hair.
I've got some of it left. Mike's got a lot more than I does, but he just doesn't show it on the camera because he's shy.
Well, not publicly, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, of course. But if consciousness can slip out of sync with time, then past and present and future are all just coordinates on a map. And I have to go ahead and say that is something that I do when I meditate. When I drop into meditation, I remind myself that my consciousness can run at a different rate of what my body is. So when I go down and I meditate, I'll go out and it feels like an hour has gone by, Mike. But when I come out of it, 15, 18 minutes has only gone by, but it feels like it's been hours. And that's just setting yourself up to let yourself disconnect from the reality of our space and take it to our consciousness, or our consciousness is. So then past, present, and future are all just coordinates on a map and something beyond consciousness. And an interdimensional doesn't move through time. It can step around it, which means it could be standing next to you right now and you never know because you're frozen in this single frame. You happen to be living. That's why we see some of these craft, Mike, and they're moving at 14,000 miles an hour, and you look at the video feed and they're still jumping from location to location to location. It's not just about speed. It's also about time. So imagine a cartoon strip. These characters in the panel ever only see one square of the story at a time, but the artist above the page, all the panels exist at once. He can touch any frame, edit it, and step into it without the characters understanding how. To an interdimensional, we are the cartoon strip moving square by square while they flip through the whole book at will. That's why they can appear, vanish, and reappear without warning. Does that kind of just give it a good description?
It describes what Colonel John Alexander was talking about when Jim Semivan and his wife didn't realize how they got outside in the street in their sleepwear, and they didn't know how they got there from their bed. So, yeah, their abduction experiences seem to describe it in that fashion.
Yep.
And them and other people as well. So, yeah, it kind of lines up, Thomas.
Yeah. Sometimes, Mike, they pass through our reality like smoke, leaving no evidence at all. Witness reports encounters end with no trace, no sound, and no mark. And that's the one thing that I have in all the memories of going through my abduction experiences that started when I just turned the age of 5 back in 1973. There was a lack of sound. That was the biggest thing. I had things coming into my mind, but there was no sound. And that is what we would expect if you're not being fully anchored, if they're not being fully anchored in their space-time and are bringing us along. They are here only in appearance, like a reflection in glass, but other times scorched earth, bent trees, radiation spikes, triangular footprints suggest they can also choose to push into density, like when they take you out of your house in the middle of the night and stop time for everybody else except you, and you go on the trip that you never asked for, the memories never go away. When they synchronize with our time and matter, it leaves a scar. And for me, it did. So they don't actually break physics. They simply decide when to participate in it. To walk without any footprints. They remain just outside of our flow of time. They leave a mark. They dip fully into our field like an artist pressing his hand onto the cartoon page. The trace is not an accident, Mike. It's a residue of contact. And I have to agree with Jason's words here completely.
Oh, I agree with what he's saying as well. Yeah, it backs up the science and the research that our government has been doing with the UAP and NHI phenomenon. And that's what it seems to indicate scientifically.
Yeah. In other words, Mike, they're here. They've always been here. And the only question is when they choose to let us know.
Right. That's right. Because their ability to be manipulating time goes beyond what we understand.
Right.
So they could have been here longer than we could ever imagine.
And if they could flip back and forth between time, who knows what kind of future they're trying to achieve. So they're in the future, they go to the past, they make some changes, they go back to the future, see where it is, and they keep on going back and forth to get to the desired result that they're potentially looking for. That's the kind of intelligence we're dealing with here.
Right.
All right.
No.
You got to have fun with it, my friend.
No, it's good. It's accurate information.
All right. Do I have
Isn't that basically describing like the plot for Terminator, though?
Not exactly, but
a little bit.
A little bit. Evil T-1000 came back from past or the future to come and destroy the past and people in the past, and that kept happening and happening over and over again.
Yeah. Oh, good point, my friend. Laura Campbell, your hand is up.
Yeah, that's funny. You should mention how they travel. Just listening to Bashar today, not that he may be right, but his particular group, when asked how they travel, they focus in on a point in space, and they latch onto match the vibration of that particular node of what they want to go to, and they go to it. So, and then he said, I thought that was pretty interesting. And then he came across someone that had been regressed. And when they were asked how they traveled, it was the same description.
Oh, wow.
Somebody unrelated. So there you go again. Just wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, my friend.
Yep.
Now, switching gears a little bit into ancient history, because sometimes we have to look at our past, understand our future. Let me get this up here really quick. Down in Peru, we've got the site of Sacsayhuaman. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm trying to say it right. It's the place down in Peru where we've had these giant walls that are put together with 30-ton blocks that come together in exact precision. They've been there for tens of thousands of years, and they're actually starting to do some major excavations down there to figure out what's going on, because they've never dug. They've never seen to figure out how far does it go down? What are we going to find? And there have been digging, and they've been digging, and they are getting deeper and deeper. And Laura, we're getting some answers here like we've never seen before for these type of expeditions. Usually in a lot of the countries, like in in Egypt, they take a lot of these different sites and they call them cultural relics. You can't do any excavation anymore. Yeah, we did in the past, but now we need to maintain it. The Department of Cultural Antiquities in Peru is going far into it, and they're looking for the bottoms. They're looking for passageways and whatever they can find, if they can get to truly understand what's happening and what was there. And I love this because we're now seeing something where the information that was been held away from us because they wouldn't dig, they're finally getting down to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, just keep the Smithsonian away from it so they don't destroy any evidence.
Oh yeah, they're known to do that. And this is something we're going to keep on covering, because for me to be able to see live archaeology going on, trying to figure out what's happening, this is amazing work that they're doing, and I can't wait to see what they're going to find next. And it looks like they're a good 20, 30 feet down already, Mike.
I know. Look at that. Amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And on
They're
that,
doing good work over there.
yeah, they definitely are. Is there anything else that I missed? Oh, look, it just took me out of my bookmarks one more time. Is there anything else we haven't covered yet, to Mike? I think we've about covered everything.
I think we have. We had an interesting conversation tonight. It's a good show.
Oh, yeah. Now, there has been a report from last night. I got to bring this up because we don't know how real this is. However, last night they were getting numerous reports of drones coming in over New Jersey one more time. So it's one of those things we're going to keep our eyes open to it because, Mike, in the past, we went and covered these things, but now that it's actually happening again. And there's a good story that actually came out from Christopher Sharp we may cover tomorrow that gets into the depth of what was happening off the shore of New Jersey and what the Coast Guard actually encountered.
Well, that's interesting. We need to hear more about that.
Oh, gosh, yeah. That's why we've got the show tomorrow.
Yep. It'll be a good one.
Oh, gosh, yes. Absolutely. Okay. One last story of interest. We haven't covered this yet. This is a really interesting piece because it just shows you how dirty our military and our government was during the Cold War. What am I talking about? The United States Army admits it sprayed chemicals containing a carcinogen on a St. Louis neighborhood of more than 10,000 people, some of whom they say it made them sick. Now, Natasha speaks exclusively with former residents who say they were subjects of these experiments. Let's see what happened. You know, you never trust the government, and that's the biggest thing, Mike, that I have to say I have problems with whistleblowers. We're going to the government to get the answer coming from the people we never trusted in the first place. That's the only caveat, right?
Right.
All right, so let's play this clip, and let's enjoy it. Here we go, everybody.
Now to a News Nation exclusive investigation into a secret government experiment that was carried out in St. Louis. Residents tell us they still remember a mysterious fog. Children would run through it. Mothers would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers. The United States Army now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people. Critics say this was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. News Nation's Natasha Zuvez investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime and it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick. And it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And they had masks and goggles.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river. The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed large area coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada, spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well, isn't
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely, definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my 2 older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full.
And you see shit like this, Mike, and you question and wonder, are they really covering up UFOs? Absolutely.
Well, it seems like they're covering up testing American citizens without their knowledge or consent or permission, and it's highly illegal, and they've covered that up. So, yeah, of course they're going to cover up UFOs. I just can't believe the level that they would go to test weapons and the effect on our own citizens. It's something out of Nazi Germany, circa 1945.
Yeah. Exactly. It all reminds me of the stuff that I bring up tonight about what they were doing with from the vaccine companies and what they were doing to pay women to go ahead and have to terminate their pregnancy at 5 and 6 months, and then to take the living entity that came out and open it up without any kind of anesthesia or anything and remove a beating heart, organs, eyes, parts of the brain, etc. It's just, we are discussed, people are concerned about what goes on with the aliens and what they're doing to humans. If you look at what they do in the name of science to humans and everything else, we're no better. We're worse. It's our own race and we're doing this kind of stuff. It's disgusting.
It's also highly illegal.
Yeah.
I can tell you that a first-term pregnancy, as you approach the 12th week, it becomes illegal at that point if you're going to force an abortion, let alone experimentation. 6 months? At 6 months of age, I could tell you a fetus is considered to be a human life.
It is, because they can bring it outside they can bring it outside and they can bring
into an incubator.
Into an incubator it can live. Yeah, this is the kind of shit we're dealing with. So let's listen on this, but that's something else that's out there, and it's just, this kind of shit just blows my mind. So we've got some other stuff. There's a video from Danny Sheehan we're going to play next. Sorry, I forgot this to the end, and I've got some other stuff. We've got some other videos to end this out, so hang on, folks. Don't leave yet. We've got some more stuff to cover before we're done.
Picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons.
Oh, Mike, it's the same fucking bullshit excuse. Sorry, we can't talk about that. That's a matter of fucking national security. Fucking sit and spin on this, federal government. Seriously. The United States, as they knew it, died in 1947 when we became the national security state of America. And it's the same reason why Luis Elizondo can't go ahead and bring forward the truth, because he's bound to be a patriot and support national security.
Except I find it questionable, because even under national security, if you are under orders to commit horrific acts, experimenting on innocent American civilians, murdering people, that's not lawful. So I don't care what you want to wrap it up under. That doesn't put it above the law, or at least it shouldn't, constitutionally speaking. It's criminal acts that we're talking about, and they have consistently gotten away with it. Now, hiding the truth about UAP or NHI, well, they can do that. But if they're taking human life and causing great harm to their own citizens, no, that's not something that I think they should have a right to be able to do or get away with.
And this gets to the heart of disclosure tonight. We bring UFO stuff when there's other disclosures of shit like this going on, and we're going to cover it because it's important.
Because we're a news channel, and we cover everything that affects the public, not just UAP.
Exactly. So let's continue on. We got 2 minutes left, and then we'll get to Danny Sheehan.
Key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc-cadmium sulfide dispersion test.
So it's okay then.
Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
So they're going to take it, Mike, and put it over black neighborhoods and thinks it's okay. Fucking bullshit.
Well, that would be the next point about this story, is they didn't go and just do it at any random neighborhood in this country. They targeted a low-income, primarily black type of community because they knew they can get away with it, because they didn't have high-powered lawyers or political clout. So they knew there wouldn't be anything that they could do to try to fight back, which is really shitty as well.
Oh, 100%.
It's taking advantage of the people who need the most amount of help and causing great amount of harm.
Yeah, Wishmaster comes out with another super chat, this time good. It's not religion. Said that's all CIA work, and it could be, but it could be something more, Mike. We don't know, but let's hear the end of this, and then we'll get to Danny Sheehan. Here we go.
But that's not even the whole story, as residents demand to know what else could have been in that spray.
They have not come clean with what was in there.
Do you believe that it was just zinc cadmium sulfide in that spray?
No.
We go to the source, a researcher who has spent decades declassifying government documents about these tests.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis? I believe that they did.
And the government's surprising response to our request to declassify information.
I mean, what the hell?
Plus, renowned activist Erin Brockovich weighs in.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
It sure looks that way.
The residents are asking for an apology from the government for being experimented on. They are asking for compensation for health studies for themselves and their children. They're also asking for transparency. They want the government to release all the documents about the spraying. So, Elizabeth, tomorrow night on your show, we will go on a journey to try to declassify the one government document that a key researcher tells us she has never been able to expose. And we take the investigation to Erin Brockovich. For the residents still here, still fighting, the question is whether they will get any answers before it's too late. Elizabeth.
Well,
Mike, you know what this reminds me of to a degree? This reminds me of the shit that went on when we had, what was it? The train crash in Ohio. When Matt Ramone came on, and they covered it up, and the Biden administration and their head of the Secretary of Transportation just whitewashed the whole situation and covered it up. Daryl Zernick, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be willing to, but I've been watching Corporal Abe, our G.I. Joe man, here in the back chat. He looks pretty intense, and I was just kind of curious if he would mind contributing to what he's thinking.
Corporal Abe, we'd love to hear it. Let it rip.
I'm listening, and I'm playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 intently. I'm multitasking, so that's why I'm looking so intense. It's
okay.
Intense
All right,
match.
then.
But I am listening, and I'm a little upset that they are attacking poor and disparaged neighborhoods, and I don't feel like this is the first and only instance of this. But they also have done experiments on soldiers and sailors in the past, airmen in the past. So, unfortunately, it's not a big shock.
Agent Orange, Vietnam. Yeah, you're right, Abe.
Oh, yeah. All right. In our next clip, which we're going to save for tomorrow, Mike, we've got you've heard about everything going on in the United Kingdom with regards to putting up the old UK flag. Yeah. And they're doing it as a sign of solidarity. Even Elon Musk has come out and talked about supporting, whatever legal funds they need to go ahead and sue the government for the shit that's been going on. The people have had enough. What's been going on is they've been going ahead and putting up the original flag of Britain everywhere, and the councils are tearing it down. They won't let people in pubs, and it's just a mess. But this is a good comedic segue before we get to our next story. Here we go.
Let's see how long this one takes them.
That old sofa has been there for 3 weeks, and my son painted an England flag on the front, and the council came straight away to remove the bloody thing.
Look how fast the council remove my bins when they have the England flag on it. Let's see.
So, yeah, all right. So let's get past that one. Got to have some humor on it. We love our friends in the United Kingdom. Let's get to that interview. Where did I do with that? Where is it at? There it is. We've got the 8-minute version of the interview with Danny Sheehan. Where the hell is that? It's here somewhere. Open external application. Come on, where are you at? It's here somewhere. So, there it is. No, that's Danny Sheehan. Yep, that's Danny Sheehan. All right, let's play this one. Danny Sheehan is on WFLD TV from my own hometown of Chicago. Yes, it used to be a UHF channel, but now they've moved beyond it. But Danny's there. We've got an 8-minute part of the interview we can go ahead and play. Let's enjoy it. Here we go.
Welcome back. The truth is out there, and it might be right here in the cabinets and halls of the United States Department of Defense. A bipartisan group of lawmakers is now calling on the disclosure of all classified intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomena and whether they arrived from out of this world.
They haven't been totally transparent with the information they do have. If it's not a UFO, then is it a weapon system?
If you don't give people a clear answer, and sometimes the clearest answer you can give is, I don't know, some will be suspicious of that.
And joining us now is a longtime civil rights attorney and UFO expert, Danny Sheehan. He is the founder of the New Paradigm Institute, a nonprofit lobbying Congress to declassify all these documents, and the attorney for a former Department of Defense whistleblower named Luis Elizondo, who has disseminated some of this information. So, Danny Sheehan, thanks for being here. Welcome to Chicago. I know.
Thank you, Paris.
You've been meeting with some lawmakers here, and you're calling on Congress to pass the bipartisan UAP Disclosure Act. If they do pass it, what will we find?
Well, what we're going to find out is that there is an element deep within the Defense Department and the operations director of the Central Intelligence Agency that has been committing perjury to Congress, lying, denying the fact that they have recovered a non-human origin extraterrestrial spacecraft and the bodies that they've now DNA tested and know to be non-human.
You're saying, because you represent some whistleblowers, you're saying that they have disclosed to you that this evidence exists, these documents exist, that these phenomena have come indeed from out of this world with actual alien species.
That they know they're non-human.
Did they describe what those species are or look like?
Well, actually, not yet to the public. We've gotten this information out, but the fact of the matter is that if we get this bill passed, and we're getting in the process this in the first week of September, we're hoping as soon as they come back from their summer break, that the Senate is going to pass a 64-page bill that mandates that all of the information that is 25 years old or more That's basically anything before 2000. Basically, has to be immediately publicly released to the people. Okay, and anything else is going to be submitted to a 9-person panel to be appointed by the president. And that panel is not only to go through it and decide what else to release right away, but they're going to set up a 7-year program called the UAP Controlled Disclosure Campaign Plan to release all of this information over the next 7-year period so that we can adjust our economic systems, our geopolitical structures, our domestic political structures to try to accommodate the fact that we now are aware of the fact that there's an extraterrestrial civilization surrounding us.
So this law is set up to that if we do confirm this evidence that the American people, the world population will learn about this in a measured fashion. Does this include some of those space or those craft that were captured by U.S. Air Force pilots that seem to descend from the atmosphere to the sea, you know, within seconds, defying the laws of gravity and physics?
0.7 of 1 second.
0.7 of 1 second.
From 80,000 feet. In stopping instantaneously at the surface of the ocean, 6,000 Gs of centrifugal force on them.
And I think these are some of the videos that some of those pilots had caught.
Yeah, that's the Tic Tac.
They were on TikTok.
That's the Tic Tac. And those were picked up by the F-18 Super Hornet gun cameras on them. They have myriad other photographs of them, up-close photographs taken right out of the cockpit of some of these craft, and that they've now, as I say, recovered the craft and they've recovered the bodies that they've DNA tested and have now confirmed that they are non-human.
So this is, you're just saying the Defense Department's keeping this secret from everybody.
Yes.
They have lied to the public.
And to Congress.
I mean, could we theoretically say that those craft were secret Defense Department programs from contractors testing out new technology?
Some kind of them have been, because they've been engaged in a back engineering program. They've had these craft for some time, and they've been engaged in back engineering the technology, trying to replicate some of these. And so there appear to be some craft that have been back engineered and constructed and that are being flown by U.S. Air Force personnel in a deep secret program. But the reality is that there are a major number of other craft that are not ours. They're not Soviet, or they're not Russian, and they're not Chinese. And so they're from somewhere else. But now that they've recovered the bodies, and they've actually DNA tested them, they know that they're non-human.
Okay, so, all right, say this gets confirmed. What you're saying, what your whistleblowers have told you that worked in the Defense Department, how long do you think that they were here?
Well, they've been here, basically, a lot of the sightings started right around the dropping of the first atomic bombs in 1945. That's when they began showing up around White Sands in the Yucca Flats, and they've been spotted since then. And that they've been, the first crash retrieval was recovered in 1947. Okay, so they've been here since then. And there's all kinds of evidence indicating they've been here periodically earlier, because some of these star systems where they come from are 6 billion years older than our solar system.
Right, but what Danny's missing here, he keeps on going on about the non-human intelligence going from point A to point B, and that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with entities that are shifting from a different time and space, from a different dimension to be here, and that's what we've been dealing with here in perpetuity on this planet. Let's continue.
If we bring in the laws of physics again, there is no known way that any matter can travel faster than light, and they would probably have to get here. So is there do we have to question all physics if these folks, or whatever they are, traveled from billions and billions and billions of years away?
Yeah, we clearly, well, they've already started to question most of the Newtonian Cartesian worldview.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's the normal materialist worldview. That, for example, I had these conversations with Carl Sagan when he was still alive. Oh, I'm sure that there are billions and billions of star systems where there's life, but they'll never be able to get here, and we'll never be able to get there because you can't propel a material vehicle faster than the speed of light. But the fact of the matter is, they transport in a different way. They don't necessarily have to travel at any particular speed. That they can, in fact, move from one point to another instantaneously.
Right. Well, all right. So
the question is, how does that happen?
Let me get back to what I know is politics, and the Department of Defense has denied this. Lawmakers will be skeptical. So to all of those,
okay, Google, turn off all my lights.
Skeptics, you say what? And will this testimony come out this fall in these hearings?
Well, it's not clear. We're having a public hearing on September 9th. The House Oversight Committee's Special Task Force on Disclosure is convening. There are some of the witnesses that we know have been in the physical presence of these craft and have been, with their own eyes, have laid eyes on the extraterrestrial beings. We know that because we've listened to them. They're on recorded tape for that. Okay? And so if we can get them to be witnesses here on September 9th,
under oath,
it will come out under oath.
All right, hold that thought, because we have to take a break here. And so for you viewers that want to hear more of this, you can go to our website. We're going to continue this conversation on digital, but for now, some final thoughts right after the break.
Well, Mike, I have the end of this, but they take it to digital, and I couldn't go ahead and play it without potentially getting copyright strike. Should we play it? Let's not.
Yeah, but did you hear what Danny said about the proposed controlled disclosure 7-year act? Yeah, that's coming right from Colombell.
Of course it is. It's the whole controlled disclosure bullshit that we look at, and oh my God, I'll probably get in trouble for playing this again. Let's see if I can find it. Oh God, where's that? Where are those videos at? Yeah, I've got them around here somewhere, but it's one of those things you look at, and it's just like, yeah, Carl Nell and his controlled disclosure that's coming from the hearts of the intelligence community and the military. We don't need controlled disclosure. Give us the fucking truth today. We can handle it. Don't give us a drip, drip, drip that allows a president to take something 20 years from now and completely lock it away, and we'll never get the fucking truth. Right?
Exactly. No, 100%. You're absolutely right about that. That was part of what Ivan was complaining about when he was in the UAPDF with Paul now.
Sorry.
And the controlled disclosure is just them keeping the truth hidden for a set period of time, which we don't want or need. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
They need to come out with the truth. Catastrophic disclosure is the way to go. The truth needs to come out.
We try to get there, my friend, and it's just part of it. We just have to keep it real for our audience and for everybody that controlled disclosure is just yet another control complex to keep the truth out of the public because it gets in way of the people who are making all the money in the world, and that's what's controlling this, honestly.
Mm-hmm. You're right, it is. And this is just another attempt to legislate and legalize dragging the truth out indefinitely.
Yeah.
So let's keep paying attention. And I have a feeling like the last two attempts at trying to get this passed, it's going to fail miserably.
Yeah.
So we won't have to worry about any type of control disclosure.
Oh, yeah. But I do have one more video, Mike. I know it's 8 o'clock, but our audience should appreciate it. We've had a bunch of people hanging out right now. This is coming to us from the daily feed from Dr. Ben Davidson over Suspicious Observers. And he here is talking about the 6,000 versus 8,000 year disaster cycle. And he's got a video he released today we're going to play tomorrow. That's a phenomenal piece on this. It'll be the title card talking about the disaster cycle because it could be the main reason why the UFOs are here, to get as many samples of what we have around before the human race gets erased. One more time. So let's play this clip. This is a great one. I think everyone will enjoy it. Here we go.
Good evening, folks. A lot of you have been asking for this one. We're going to go over the major differences between the 6,000 and 12,000 year cycles of the catastrophe. What does the Earth do in each? What does the Sun do? And what about the galactic environment that makes it so? Perhaps the most important question is when the solar micronova happens and why. And then, conversely, what happens during the other cycle, the half cycle, and what are its impacts? Which one can burn with the flash of light itself? While both types of cycles on the 6,000 and 12,000 year marks would spell the end of an electrified world, sending us back to the Stone Age, taking out satellites, airplanes, power grids, and critical infrastructure. Only one of them, however, makes the Earth turn over. While both cause tremendous floods, only one is capable of impacting the entire world at continental scales, with massive tsunamis washing from one side to the other. To begin, the answer to all of these points is the galactic magnetic field. Not the poloidal component, but the radial field threading the disk, and their undulations housed within the galactic current sheet. Now, if this is unfamiliar, you really need to do the homework. It's listed right below the video in the description box. But for those keeping up with class, you know this is the reason for the season, the Earth disaster cycle. But how does our place within it really matter? Well, first, let's do this a bit graphically. Let's put up a sine wave here to show the galactic current sheet, and it's moving outward from the galactic center, hitting our solar system every 12,000 years. We are at the black line there. Now, while there is a bit of up and down to the sun over millions of years throughout the galaxy, it is minuscule by comparison to the sheet, and it basically takes forever. So I don't care which way you picture the sheet moving, the sine wave, to the left or to the right, as long as you can see how it's crossing the black line, where we can imagine our solar system, at equidistant marks. Now let's remember, the galactic current sheet contains the magnetic reversal point, which is where there is a null, a magnetic zero point. At the exact crossing moment, we will be subject to zero galactic magnetism. It is also the dusty plasma density maximum, as the galactic sheet is acting like an electrostatic Swiffer duster sweeping through the galaxy. So now, let's go ahead and put the impacts to the galactic current sheet on here. Those are at the red stars, 12,000 years apart, marking when our solar system is taking the impact from the galactic current sheet, taking the magnetic reversal and the galactic zero null point, while also taking the dust and plasma density maximum. The magnetic null reduces luminosity and the solar wind of our star, allowing that extra dust and plasma to accumulate at the sun, and when we come out of the sheet, they reignite and blast off that shell of material in what we call the solar micronova. The induction from that event cooks the partially melted layer between the crust and mantle, which is locking them together right now, and when it melts, the crust is unlocked and free to turn and tilt and reorient. So the micronova and Earth tilt, those happen on the 12,000 year cycle. So then what is the 6,000 year cycle? That would be these green dots, where we still get a magnetic excursion at Earth, but we don't tilt, and there are no nova level isotopes in those sediment layers like there are at the 12,000 year scale. But let's think about this. If the sine wave, the galactic current sheet, is the magnetic zero point, when do we endure peak galactic magnetic force? Yep, right in the middle, when we are at the furthest from the sheet. Every 6,000 years. This is also the moment when we get closer to the next sheet crossing as opposed to being closer to the one that just hit us before, which means that at these 6,000 year marks, the upcoming sheet has more of an impact on our solar system than the previous one. And so that shift where a push becomes a pull or a pull becomes a push happens at peak galactic magnetic force. So there's no dusty plasma to build up on the sun in this one. The sun's electrodynamic activity isn't short-circuited by the galactic magnetic reversal on the 6,000 year half cycle. In fact, it is maximized by that peak galactic field exposure. This amping up of activity is the opposite of a micronova buildup, which results from low activity, and it results in the 6,000 year super flare of about X1000. It's been confirmed many times in the peer-reviewed literature, and it really is that simple. Zero galactic magnetism versus peak galactic magnetism. No surprise, they both impact Earth's magnetism, but they have opposing impacts on the sun. So as simply as it can be stated, the 12,000 year event is the galactic magnetic reversal, the zero point, creating the solar micronova, which is how you get the flash burning, by the way. It has the solar system magnetic shift and the major geomagnetic excursion and extinction level event. The 6,000 year event is still pretty bad, just not quite as bad as the 12,000 year one. Peak galactic field exposure, X1000 super flare, probably some solar system impacts too, but
I have to say, Mike, we're at the 12,000 year mark right now, if not the 24,000 year mark, so we're not in a good place. And based on that, we're overdue.
He called it an extinction level event.
Yeah, that's what happens every single time. You know, we're dealing with it now. They call it global warming, but basically what we're dealing with is climate destabilization that's being caused by the destabilization of the magnetic field around our planet. It's obvious. It's out there.
And didn't we talk in previous shows about it's not just this planet, but every planet in the solar system seems to
8 out of 9 planets right now, except Mercury, is showing signs of massive, if you want to call it, change to the atmosphere around the planets. And it's not humans causing that change across our entire solar system, changing the frequency of Jupiter. No, it's what we're getting not from our sun, but from the center of our galaxy.
Right. Like he just explained.
Yeah, exactly. Let's continue to the end of this. Here we go.
At least certainly the minor excursion in Earth's geologic record, and because the protons from the X-1000 super flare are following the cusp, they superheat the polar ice and cause a Heinrich event, which causes widespread floods and then chills the globe. You may need to watch this again. Went kind of quickly, but this is it. This is the entire difference between the 6,000 and 12,000 year events. What happens and why. I'll see you in the morning for the Daily Show. Be safe, everyone.
Yes, eyes open.
Good evening, folks.
Eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. That's where we get it from, my friends. And that's what it comes to when we're talking about this kind of stuff and we're looking at the galactic cycle of what's going on, what the Earth is going through. Remember, there's that book, Mike, that was shut down by the CIA back in the 50s or 60s, I think it was the 60s, called The Adam and Eve Story, that talked about the cyclical nature of the disaster cycle that hits the planet, and it was taken off the market because the CIA didn't want that information to come out.
Right. Yeah. They classified it.
Yeah. And this is no AI voiceover. This is Ben Davidson giving it as it is. Usually he used to do his broadcasts at the 4:20 a.m. in the New Valley of the Sun in Colorado. Just connect the dots, my friend. But that's Ben. He's a phenomenal guy, and he's out there, and he's been dealing with divorce and kids and a whole bunch of other stuff. He's got a community he's building, but you know what? He is on target with regards to where we're at now in this galactic cycle and what's ahead.
He is, and we covered one of his episodes recently.
Yeah.
That was talking about him delving into the UAP topic.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't normally
And
do.
Mike, he was our first media partner we got on this channel when we started. I reached out to Ben and asked, hey, can we cover your stuff to bring it out? Because I think it's connected to what we're talking about and in the non-human intelligence area, UFOs. And he said, yes, absolutely. Use whatever you want. So thank you, Ben. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it was very nice of him.
Yeah.
And he does good information, good shows.
Oh, gosh,
because
yes.
he's a scientist. So, yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
You know what? And it's an area of science where you get a lot of people who push back on it and don't believe it. But more than not, the more things go on in the future, the things he's been calling out has been coming as true fact from more and more scientists as things happen. So we're going to keep on covering what Ben's onto, because you know what? There's a reason why he has a community he's building in Colorado that is over 1 mile over sea level, because 1 mile high is potentially the height of the waves that come when this cycle happens. So it's about finding the right place at the right time to be, and he's on it.
Means he's not stupid.
No.
He knows right where to be.
Oh, God, yeah, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is, he has good content.
Oh, God, yeah.
Good work for you.
And we'll keep on being a media partner with him. Hopefully we can get him on our channel one day, Mike. But, in the meantime, we'll keep on covering what he's got. We've got another story that he brought out today I didn't want to cover about the disaster cycle. It's a 12-minute video, and I think I'll use this title card for our show tomorrow, my friends. On that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out for today's show. My God, Mike, we've had unbelievable support from our audience today. Let me go in reverse order. I want to thank everybody for what you've shared with us. Diamond, thank you very much. CIA is I guess, yeah, Cult. I'll get you there. Daryl is YouTube. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And hopefully I didn't turn all your lights off. Diamond again. Megan Betts. Thank you very much. We have D. Davey, thank you very much for your donation. Faze Will, Kane Northrup, Brennan England, Daryl is YouTube. Hopefully I didn't turn your lights off again. And starting off the super chats, a $250 super chat. That's the biggest one we've gotten today. Thank you very much, Gene Stick. I want to thank everybody for being part of this conversation, Mike, and I appreciate you being here today. Even though your iPhone fucked you one more time. Hey, you know what brings us together for Fuck You Fridays?
That's true. It does. We're on the same page, as always.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We got through it. It was fun. Great conversation.
Absolutely,
Good
my
friends.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Great
Like
times,
Gene.
great audience. We had a good time. We had a bunch of videos to go ahead and watch and have a good time. And yeah, I could have played some stuff earlier, but you know what? It gave us a conversation, the ability to have the conversation and talk through a lot of stuff is what we're about. We're here to bring out the truth as much as we can. We're not here to bring out the bullshit, as we usually say. If you want to hear the bullshit, go listen to Tupa and RPK, my friends. Right, Mike?
That's right.
Oh, you better believe it. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But where's it at?
Go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. Love it. Y'all come back now. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.